Alright, ladies and gentlemen, Fab's in the house. And today we're going to compare the Shirogorov F3 NS up against the Shirogorov Hati. Both are beautiful knives, I think. They share something, a lot of things in common, but they have some quite substantial differences. So let's check them out. First of all, you're going to notice that they are 8.75 inches long, same length. The blade is 3.75 inches. Also, you know, in this case, both are going to be, both are sporting M390 steel, like pretty cool high-end steel right there. And you know, main difference basically it's going to be that the Hati is a frame lock, whereas the F3 is a liner lock. In fact, right here you can see. So both are beautifully done, beautifully made. They have some great qualities, I think. And you know, also like in this case, the F3 has 3D milled carbon fiber scales with these pretty cool grooves over here, whereas the Hati has a silver twill carbon fiber scale with very subtle grooves which you can like feel to the touch, and you know, they're barely visible, but they are like radially going this way, so quite some difference right there. Also, you can notice that the finish of the blade is quite different. It's very similar, but at the same time different, because you know, the F3 is a little bit more like with a finer medium blasted, whereas the Hati over here is more like a rough stone wash. Also, you know, like the weight is going to be a little bit different, because the Hati is going to be weighing in at 4.2 ounces, whereas the F3 is going to be 4.6 ounces. In this case, both are running on multi-row bearing like MRBS, which is a pretty fantastic system from Shirogorov with these radially aligned multi-rows of bearings, which are gonna confer like a pretty sweet and beautiful action to the knife. So both are gonna be very smooth and fast, and I would say almost identical in the action. Price-wise, this is the newer model, so it's going to be around $900, and this is a little bit older, but it's going to be around, I don't know, $700, something in that ballpark. The sound they make, that's the F3, and that is the Hati. When they close, one more time, F3. So very similar, but when they close, you see, Hati is almost quiet, and the F3 is a little bit louder. So not a big difference, but you know, something to point out, I think. Also, something a little bit different is the grip, because the F3, in my opinion, has pretty perfect grip. You know, there's no hot spots going on. The contouring is great. You know, great chamfering going on. And the Hati also is pretty good, but you know, there's less chamfering going on. So you know, compared to this, it's going to be a little bit less comfortable, but still has a pretty great ergos, like with this nice, you know, finger grooves. I mean, both are pretty nicely designed. Also, another difference is that, you know, they are both skeletonized, but you know, of course, this is a liner lock, so you see the lock, the slab like of titanium in the lock side. It's a little bit thicker than this, because of course this is just a liner. But something to point out is that the F3 has like a notch over here, so when you flip the knife, your index fingertip is gonna just rest on top of this notch, so it's not gonna hit up against the back of the scale, so it's gonna be a little bit more comfortable overall. They both are sporting like a lanyard hole built into the back spacer, but what is gonna be different is the pocket clip, because the Hati is sporting this kind of pocket clip. Look at this. So this clip has 2 points of contact up against the slab of titanium, whereas the F3, it's gonna be only one. So right on this side over here, and nothing on this side over here. And this is going to translate into sliding in and out of your pocket pretty smoothly. Whereas in this case, you have like 2 points. I don't know if you can see, one on this side and one on this side. So there's going to be more friction for sure. Also, of course, the design is different. You know, like this is more like 3D shaped and contoured, but they are both like beautifully done, you know, in a beautifully milled titanium. You know, this assembly of this guy is going to be the same, pretty straightforward. You know, you have just a couple screws. I suggest you to use like a dime or something like made out of like a coin of made out of a softer metal than titanium, so you're not gonna risk to, you know, ruin the aesthetic of the screws. So I wouldn't use like a flathead screwdriver, or you can also buy the dedicated tool in order to disassemble these guys. Also, something different is the jimping. Like, look at this. This is a matter of taste. I prefer, honestly, the Hati because, you know, it's more subtle. It's, you know, it's still usable. It's still functional. But, you know, this guy, I think it's less functional. You know, it's a little bit wider grooves over here. But, I mean, both are nice. But I prefer, honestly, the Hati over here. Also, a little difference they have is the screw size. So recently Shirogorov like enlarged the pivot size. Look at this. It's just slightly smaller, but reduced the screws at the heel of the handle. This is a little bit bigger, and this is just a little bit smaller. Not a big deal, but just something you know, to point out. They both are sporting the logo on the blade. All right, and in the back you see just the steel employed. But if you notice, look at this. So you see the plunge grind, it's a little bit different. You see, it's not in the F3, it's a little bit slimmer, and it doesn't get down to the beginning of the sharpening choil, whereas in the Hati, the plunge grind just reaches the tip of the sharpening choil right there. Just a little detail that I thought, you know, to point out. Also, something different is that the back spacer in the F3 is a little bit longer, right over here, and there's more spaced grooves, you know, between the grooves. Also, of course, like the F3 is gonna feel thicker in the hand because you have, you know, liners and scales, whereas the Hati is gonna be just, you know, slimmer, and it's gonna feel also lighter because there's, you know, less weight to it. But, you know, in both cases, you can't go wrong. They're both like pretty substantially beautiful knives from Shirogorov, and you can't go wrong with either of these guys. So there you have it. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned.